What is up, everybody? It's Alex from Heavy New York, and on the phone we got the one and only Ken J from Static X. Thank you for your time today, man. I appreciate it.
Oh, thank you. Static X appreciates it.
Oh, it's an honor to be able to talk to you. Congratulations, Project Regeneration Volume 1. It's finally seeing the light of day. Just in retrospective, what was the making of this like? Did it almost feel, reuniting with Koichi and Tony, that it almost felt like a little reminiscent of the making of Wisconsin Death Trip?
Yeah, I mean, the process of making albums is different now. There's a lot, a lot more emailing, a lot more online stuff. Now, that being said, and I would tell you also that demos tend to be more fully formed.
Mm-hmm.
Probably, and just from that's more of an experience, an age and experience thing, but also, I just would say you tend to have more definitive ideas. But from a band standpoint, I just did an interview where somebody asked, and we get asked this a lot, what was it like for you guys to get back in a room and start rehearsing? Well, it was a little, I got to admit, it was a little sad because you sit there, after 15 seconds we were like, okay, this is cool, but then you also think, why did it ever go away,
Mm-hmm.
But you can, you get a little more retrospective, and I think we were all able to look back and say, well, people grow up, your lives change, we're older men now, and that's good. But yeah, from a musicianship standpoint, within 15 seconds we started off with Lead for Days, and that was really the song back in the mid-90s. When that song was written, we knew we had something.
Yeah.
We knew we were headed in the right direction. And so there's still, even at 54 years old, when I rehearse it, not just playing a show, but when I rehearse it on my own, I still feel like I did at 27 years old when I played it. And I was like, yeah, there's something special and unique about this. And then you get the three of us in a room and we start playing, and we start thinking, oh yeah,
Yeah.
this just, it fits, it clicks.
Yep. It felt like I was 6 years old when I was listening to it. Sorry to bring that up again, but
no, that's funny. I'm honored, truly. I'll joke about it, and I'll joke about the age, but that being said, I'm honored that it was just this little record we made.
Yeah.
Going
into the making of Project Regeneration, obviously, Tony, I interviewed Tony right when, he announced the project and everything, and, asking, does this almost feel almost reminiscent of what you guys were writing about, back in the days of, Wisconsin Death Trip and Machine and all these albums? Did it almost, obviously, Wayne, God bless him, he's not obviously with us. I'd imagine that the songwriting process for the making of this had to feel much different in a way, right?
Yeah, well, Wayne, it's melancholy. It's a little bit of, but also because of that, and getting to go through this process and getting to play live shows and bringing, shooting good, all of it is, it's been cathartic, I guess I had said in another interview, we always, we were, I don't want to offend other bands by saying that they're not personal, but we were really four close guys when this started off. And and again, you put four guys on a bus for a couple of years. I mean, sometimes relationships can break down a little bit, or maybe they don't even break down. But if you're in that enclosed space for a little bit, just it tends to take its toll. And so not that we didn't value each other or anything back, in 2000, 2001, but it was definitely time for a break.
Mm-hmm.
You know, um,
I think it was worth it because after seeing you guys at a Sony Hall for the recent tour, what you guys played in New York City, it was a hell of a fun show. So
it is fun, and I think it's certainly Death Trip is just such a stupid fun album.
yeah,
and
I've always said it's like the ultimate rave from hell. That's how I called it.
and I appreciate. I mean, that was. I don't know that we ever did anything consciously, other than the fact of, the rave culture was big in the early to mid '90s, and we thought that was, once we had Blood for Days and Love Dump, we thought that was something we could capture, and we have this keyboardist, / programmer in the band that really understands that in Koichi, and I think that that energy on Project Regeneration is certainly captured, which is weird. I mean, we're 20 odd years down the road now, and you would think how it is in a band of our age. People aren't necessarily excited. They'll purchase a new album or stream a few songs, but it's still about that original stuff. And we also know, Death Trip is what captured everybody. But we get a lot of people saying, what are you going to play off the new album live? What's going to... And so, it's, I think we're just really proud of that positive energy that people feel with the new material.
Yeah, and kind of leading me into that, could Project Regeneration Volume 1, can this serve as a clear representation of what all of Project Regeneration is going to sound like? I know I'm asking, I know it's horrible for me to ask this on the record release day of Volume 1, but
no, that's funny. I get it.
Yeah.
We'll see. That's all I can tell you.
Yeah.
I think right now, it's because of the way the world is, with coronavirus, things have to be about the moment,
Mm-hmm.
and that's really just a great excuse for me to say I really don't know.
Okay.
But I would like that energy and the drive and the bounce of Death Trip were something that we definitely had to bring back. That evil disco thing was kind of a joke,
Mm-hmm.
and it stuck and it works, and the Rave from Hell thing that might end up on a bumper sticker.
Was I the first one to say that, or were other people saying that as well?
I think you might be the first. I'm specifically, I can't think of anybody. I mean, it's been intimated before,
Mm-hmm.
But I think the cool, oddly enough, I think the cool thing, with being able to use the LED panels and everything that goes on in our lighting show now, it's actually kind of this full production, whereas, in 98, 99, 2000, that I don't know. I mean, I think we talked about it, but it was so cost prohibitive at the time.
Yeah.
And there were no LED panels, so now,
it almost seems like with a band that's like, that's labeled in the industrial category, whether it's, Ministry or Nine Inch Nails or Frontline Assembly, or a more industrial metal band like you guys or Fear Factory or Rammstein. It almost seems like that, like the LED and like the lighting and the stage presence is, especially for a live show, is almost like essential. Like you can't almost have an industrial show without it.
I think so. I think, well, and everything's so compact. I say that, and then you think about Rammstein and just the hugeness of that show. And granted, they're using a lot of fire effect too, but the ability to take out something like this and really theater type shows is, and granted, I mean, we ran into uh, Sony Hall. It's not a huge stage, so we had to scale down a little bit, but it was still there, and the ability to do that in what is that, 1,000-seater maybe,
Something like that.
Yeah, and you think about that, and 20 years ago that wasn't available really. I mean, it just wasn't done. So
I don't know how bands with with massive stage presence, like I can't picture, and I've even tried to find it on Google Images with a band, with an industrial band like Rammstein or something like that, playing in like a CBGB's like setting. I can't picture it, and I think it's for you guys as well. Like the way that you guys have the stage presence and the groove and the rhythm, like it almost seems like every element in a Static X show counts.
it does. That really. I always. Wayne and I went to a show at the Roxy in about. Would probably been about 95, early 96, and it was a major label band, and I can't even remember who it was because they spent all this time in between songs like tuning, and they didn't even have a backdrop or anything, and it was I do remember it was kind of a somewhat regarded band. I don't even think they're around, but I remember both of us having a few drinks and standing there thinking, man, we've got to streamline. And the place was packed, and people were bored, and it was like, it's got to be fun, but it's got to have a purpose.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
Yeah. So yeah. And, I mean, at the time in the 90s and early 2000s, there was a lot of disposable income. So I just felt like if people had driven in Los Angeles, you're sitting in traffic. Well, you're in New York City. You're sitting in traffic or using different forms of public transportation to get to shows. You've got your cost of a ticket. I mean, it's an effort to get to a show. The least a band could do is come out and give you more than than the effort that you took to get there. I mean,
Yeah.
So
Now,
yeah.
I've noticed with Project Regeneration, and correct me if I'm wrong, I'm doing a lot of research on it. These songs, especially, the final songs featuring Wayne, these were left over was this left over from the final, Static X album, Cult of Static? Were any of these B-sides off of Wisconsin Death Trip in a way, or?
A lot of it, because of the more singy vocal, I would tell you, I think Tony has said this, it's probably more around the time of Shadow Zone.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow, that's, so some of these songs are actually quite old. Like, some of these songs are from, 2003, even?
Well, vocally, I would tell you that. Some of the stuff we just don't know.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to tell what era.
Yeah.
but really a lot of it was a Wayne vocal sample, some programming, and a basic guitar riff. I mean, and it was taken from there. But they were all 8088 tapes, and they had degenerated to a point where I think Ulrich had to take it. He could only run the tape for 10 or 15 seconds to recover it, but then he had to stop and go back.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, like they sat in a storage space in the desert, and heat and magnetic tape do not exactly go together very well. So that had to be all reconstructed, and then the band had to take it from there, and actually. There was some arrangement, some editing. There was a lot that went into it. So
that's incredible. It sounds like you guys were repairing the black box from a downed airplane.
And in a very real sense, yes.
So is there a chance that there were some more songs even that could have been lost?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, I would tell you there is, just because I've been talking, our Wayne and my original bass player, when I joined his band in the 80s in Chicago, there were some really cool demos done around then, and we're just trying to find those demos, and I know that was I think that's 1 3/4 inch master tapes that we're trying to find, and
were some of those the band that he was doing with Billy Corgan?
Yeah. Now, and it's a common mistake, and Billy gave me Wayne's phone number and everything. He had been in Deep Blue Dream before me, but by then he had started the Smashing Pumpkins and was doing that, and yeah, he hooked me. He and I worked at record stores that were right next to each other, and he hooked me up with Wayne. And yeah, it was really kind of, really kind of interesting stuff.
Wow.
And it's just stuff. There's people seem to be interested in hearing that stuff, but. They were signed at the time. It was an independent label, and it remains to be seen if I could even find that stuff. But yeah, I would tell you, there's demos from. There were 2 or 3 songs done around the time that we did "Bled for Days" and "Love Dump," and I can't even remember the names of those songs, and most of the stuff. I have, and I cannot find recordings of this stuff because it's because it is fun. It kind of fits along with those songs, and I'd be interested to see if we could do something with them now. But they were recorded on cassettes. I don't even know if they would even work.
You never know. Technology, man. Technology.
Yeah, it's true.
We'll get there. And the final question I wanted to ask you is, actually the show you did at Sony Hall was my first ever Static X show. So it was really good to finally be able to, see you and Kichi and Tony, playing this material together and, getting really the Static X imagery that I've longed for to seeing, and so many fans are really happy. Is it fair to say that Static X is back now? Like, you're gonna, you have Project Regeneration out now. We're eagerly awaiting for Volume 2. Is this going to be a regular thing? You would say, like, can we be expecting to see Static X on a regular touring basis again?
I hope so. I mean, again, because of coronavirus. That remains to be seen. I would tell you, from a project standpoint, this is our band. It was built by 4 guys, and for the response, the response to the whole thing has been really overwhelming.
Yeah,
You know,
congrats on that.
and thank you. And we knew. I mean, the I think we really challenged ourselves with getting physically in shape and just being able to do this. There were a lot of shows last year, and because the response was so good. So, Tony's got Assassino and Fear Factory and other projects, and
Like 47 of them.
yeah, exactly. So, but to have your own thing like this, yeah, I've got a couple of local projects I'm working on, just some programming, and Koichi's got the programming and remixing stuff, but I think that we all love the fact that there's a call for Static X to be back. So
Yeah.
we shall see.
Yeah.
You know.
I just hope that, because I really think that the three of you and, whoever the mystery man is on stage, I think you guys are such a great bond. Hopefully that maybe, and obviously I'm saying this again way too far in advance. Forgive me, but
that's okay.
but I'm hoping that maybe we'll hear some stuff post Project Regeneration as well. Even if it's not Static X, I'd love to see you and Tony and Kichi make some music again together.
Well, and I think that's I think part of probably a majority of the reason we did it was just for the catharsis of it, just the healing. We agreed to it. I flew out to LA, and the three of us were, we were shooting the announcement video, and the three of us were talking personally, and by then I was 52, 53 years old, or 52 years old, and Koichi's 51 at the time, and Tony's in his mid 40s, and we realized that we missed the personal relationships aspect of it, and we also realized we had to deal with the loss of Wayne. And the first thing that comes back to was, well, we all met to be in a band. That's what spurred these personal relationships. Maybe that's the thing, maybe that's the thing that helps us, toward dealing with Wayne's death, and it really, that has been really good. The response and from Wayne's family and how involved they are in everything has been a truly wonderful thing. So, you start thinking, what we'll have to see what the future holds for us, but I believe there is a future for us.
Yeah, definitely. Especially with industrial, it seems like it's making a comeback now too. With Stabbing Westward is putting out their first album.
Yeah.
God knows how long. Three Teeth is taking off. Street Sex is taking off. I think the time for industrial is now. So, and I think you guys would definitely be great at riding the forefront for it.
Well, and there's certainly, EDM and, I mean, really a lot of electronic forms of music, and, that's, it's ever changing, but it's always stayed. We were listening to a lot of acid house and techno and rave stuff in the mid 90s, and it doesn't seem. It's somewhat cyclical, not like the hard rock and metal thing or the pop music or R&B and hip hop. It's not as cyclical as that. It's more constant, but it does seem to me, like you said, a lot of bands are making comebacks. I'm pretty excited to hear some Stabbing Westward.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was. I can't wait for that. I cannot wait for that. But Ken, thank you so much for your time today. Really appreciate it. Everybody, we are here. We are here with Ken J of Static X, Project Regeneration Volume 1, out now. Buy it while supplies last forever. We'll see you next time on Heavy New York.